Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Tennis Podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about movies that shaped their childhood. I'm Sweetie with an IE.
And I'm Sweetie with a Y.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
By the time you hear this episode, Halloween will be 2 days away. That's right. Halloween's on a Sunday this year. What do you feel about that, Sweetie?
I mean, I think, once you're...
Is that a good day? What's the best day to have Halloween on?
Saturday, obviously. When you're an adult, Saturday for sure. When you're a kid, it didn't really matter, I guess.
Right.
It was like the best day, no matter what. You just didn't want it to be raining.
Right, exactly. And as an adult now, I'm always so startled by, because we're going to be giving out candy this year. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, when are kids coming around? And when I was a little kid, it always felt so late. It was like dark out, right?
Because it's dark at 6 p.m. now.
I know, but Jimmy and I've been reading some blogs, and I think it starts kind of early. I don't think kids are doing it in the dark necessarily anymore.
Yeah,
is this a new thing? Is this the new 21st century thing?
Yeah, within the last 10 years or so. Just why endanger your kids' lives
but you don't
further
get,
than they need to.
The scary, spooky effect of Halloween, I feel until it's pitch black and you're trekking around in too long costumes with tights on under your princess costume.
Things just aren't the way they used to be. So
I know.
It.
No razor blades and apples. Okay, so last Creeperson movie of the month, and we decided to do Halloween. Halloween from 1978. The titular, is that the right word? It's certainly titular.
I guess.
This movie's tit soup. Let's get real. The Halloween horror classic. It actually takes place on Halloween. So there you have it. And it is creepy as fuck. So Halloween from 1978, as I said, directed by John Carpenter, horror movie director extraordinaire. I think he's one of my favorite horror movie directors.
Wow, look at Sweetie.
I mean,
she's got a favorite horror movie director.
That many of them, but I just feel if it's a John Carpenter, it's going to be pretty solid. It's a solid one, right?
Yeah, he's a solid kind of guy. He's dope. He's still alive, I think. Yeah,
still alive. I looked it up.
He's always
born in 48.
Yeah, he's
same
just
year as
always
Dad.
cranked out solid spooky movies, and sure, yeah, they're a little old and stuff, and his recent stuff is not good, but his classic horror movies were just very simplistic, not overdone with too many effects, and always a very kind of unusual story. So, and the music is always top notch. So he always, great stuff.
Seems like a really, really smart guy. I'm just going to give a shout out to the two other ones that I love from him, which are The Thing, which is with Kurt Russell and takes place in the Arctic or something like that. Really cool.
They're watching the original one in this movie.
Oh yeah, with Leslie Nielsen, right?
No, that's Forbidden Planet, I think.
Oh, Forbidden Planet. Okay. And then The Fog, which I actually just watched recently. Excellent sense of place in that one. Really, really cool. So highly recommend those if you're into John Carpenter. And, of course, if you like Halloween. So Halloween, yes, became the big Halloween horror movie. I think they still show this movie and its many iterations on Halloween night. Because when I looked up, on IMDb, if you don't know this, really, really good tip. You want to know where stuff is playing, you go to IMDb and it'll tell you what channel, like what streaming services have the movie or what channels are currently playing it. So anyway, so I went on there and it said showtimes for this movie. So I was like, okay, cool. They're still showing this movie at theaters on Halloween. You know, it's like a tradition for some people, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done it. But it brought Jamie Lee Curtis, who's the star of this movie, into real center stage as a scream queen.
Oh, yeah. Yep. She did a bunch of like random 80s ones, Terror Train, Prom Night. Like, it was like her thing for a while.
Yeah. And the girl hates horror movies. She hates to be scared. It's not crazy to be like starring in all these horror movies and you actually like won't even watch them.
It's different.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's scary. So yeah, who else is in this movie? So you have Jamie Lee Curtis, Avi. We have Donald Pleasance, who is Loomis. He's a cop in this? He's a cop.
No, he's a doctor.
No, he's a doctor.
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist, right. And then a bunch of other like rando 80s stars who also did some horror stuff. I guess the girl who plays Annie was also in The Fog, but I didn't recall her
she's the
in that.
assistant.
Oh yeah, who's like so mean to the old lady.
She's like also mean in this. So I'm like, is that just like
Yes.
her character?
She is mean / also kind of bad actress. I don't know.
just like, I used the C word in my head tonight. I was like, that Annie is a real cunt. Like,
worst babysitter. I'm like, why are you a
worst
babysitter?
is just like really mean to Laurie for no reason.
Oh, so
and
mean.
then the other thing was I wrote down. I just have to talk about it because it bothered me. She'd be like, Laurie's like lugging this giant pumpkin down the street, and she's like, "Hurry up!" Like, oh my God, she's lugging a giant pumpkin, Annie. Like, what the fuck?
The part that got to me was when she was babysitting for the girl, and every 5 seconds she's like,
Lindsay!
What's the girl's name? Lindsay, get the dog, Lindsay. Oh my God, she was so annoying. I was like, get out of here.
She's not a nice person.
So, and then the only other person of note for me was Kyle Richards, who is a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills, I guess.
Was she Lindsay?
She was Lindsay, and she was the Watcher in the Woods. She was the little girl in that, and she's in the Escape to Witch Mountain movies, I think. So yeah, that was the only other person of note for me. Did you have any others that are in this?
PJ Souls is another like iconic horror movie character. She was the other girl, Linda. She is in Carrie. I think she's the girl who wears the baseball hat all the time. And you're like, why are you wearing, even like at the prom? And I'm like, why are you wearing a baseball hat at the prom? She's that. So yeah, she's the one who, flashes her tatas. Actually, not even. They didn't show it in my version. It was like cut off right at the boobs, which is funny. Because in Scream, that's the scene where he's like, here comes the famous tit shot. Remember when they're like watching it on the TV, but you don't even see it.
That was really like the most gratuitous boobs are definitely like the first beginning.
But I think it was when Annie got butter on her shirt and had to take off all of her clothes immediately.
We'll go into gratuitous boobs and / female bodies in a second. But yeah, so that's kind of who's in this. As we said, directed by John Carpenter. Huge movie at the time, really low budget, but made a ton of money. And then spawned, like, I'm not even kidding you, a bajillion sequels. I wrote them all down. It's so crazy. So we have Halloween 2, came out in 1981, Halloween 3, 82. And they skipped a bunch of years, Halloween 4, 88, Halloween 5 in 1989. Because it's another bunch of years. Halloween Curse of Michael Myers, 1995. Halloween H2O, 1998. That's kind of the one that we grew up with. I remember that one. Actually, I watched that a little bit on TV the other, last Halloween, I want to say. Not a bad movie. Halloween Resurrection, 2002. Halloween 2018, that was kind of the more recent one. They brought back Jamie Lee Curtis again.
Not the Rob Zombie remake.
Right. So these are all not the Rob Zombie one, right? Good. These are all continuations. They all have Jamie Lee Curtis in some way. Halloween Kills is the one that came out this year, which is a continuation of that Halloween one from 2018. And then it sounds like the final movie, hopefully, in the franchise will be Halloween Ends, That's why I think this. It's called Halloween Ends.
Because that's always been true for all horror movie
For
sequels.
2022. So obviously the way this movie is set up and how Michael Myers is like non-destructible, they can keep bringing him back because he just seems to never die, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which is like, what the fuck? What's the deal with
Yeah.
that? He's just like, why
yeah,
doesn't he
the
die?
third one is really not about Michael Myers at all. They kind of tried to do this like different thing, but the studio like wanted them to keep the Halloween name attached to it, so that's why everybody like thinks it's part of the stuff, but it has nothing to do with any of it. So, but yeah, and I've really never really seen a lot of the sequels. Just the second one, third one doesn't count, but none of the new ones. I think I started watching the new one and I turned it off.
Bad.
Yeah. Or just like bad writing or something. I was just like, no thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you have that thing where it's like the villain just keeps coming after like this one woman and like seriously like
there's
won't
just
quit.
like no way. If like he can't die, like what?
Right.
What is the point here? Like what are we doing? But anyway,
Yeah, it's just kind of silly. So yeah, so hopefully, as I said, Halloween will end with Halloween Ends next year, but we'll see. But hell of a franchise. I mean, that's a lot of sequels. So yeah, so I think let's just get into it. I've seen this movie a couple times. Did not grow up with it in the sense as we've talked about with all of these movies. Way too scared for any of that shit. But as with Freddy Krueger, obviously very much aware of who Michael Myers was, that look of the mask, the whole thing. I think my sweetie confusion was I thought the plot was that she was like his sister, and that's why he was like tormenting her for some reason.
that is the plot, but we don't find that out until like the sequels.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, this makes sense because I watched Halloween H2O and they it seemed like they were going with that story that he was the brother.
Yeah.
And okay, but wait a minute. Then how is that? I don't get it.
Well,
Can you tell me later?
It's just like, you don't know anything about the beginning. It's just like a brief scene. Like you don't know where,
she
only
doesn't know she were the Meyer. Like,
she was
'cause
adopted.
it's like the Myers house
I guess
is all
the parents
creepy.
were killed like soon after this event, and then she got adopted or something.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Spoiler. I feel like so justified now because I was convinced that was the plot.
I know.
Okay,
I
not
remember,
sweetie confusion at all. Apologies. So how about you though? Did you see this as a kid or no?
I think I must have seen most of it or parts of it. If anything, I saw the clips of it throughout Scream, and maybe that was my like harder initiation into it, and so that's probably what led me to it, because they do a really great job of like immortalizing or whatever, like referencing Halloween in Scream, in particular that last scene where Randy's like watching the movie and then she's in the closet, and like it kind of like mimics what's happening in the movie. So I always think of that. So that's probably my intro, but yeah, I mean, I watched it a good deal when I was in that age, I think.
Cool. All right, well, let's get into the plot. One
Babies.
jack-o'-lantern. One bowl of popcorn at a time. This movie made me want to eat popcorn so bad.
I haven't had popcorn in a long time.
Dang. We just got, okay, quick story. We went to this fall fair in Vermont when they were up there a couple of weeks ago. And we're walking through, and this like little Boy Scout comes up to us with this like terrible homemade sign that's like, "Come buy my popcorn." So we got like suckered in to go buy popcorn from him. And we get to his tent, and we're like, "Okay, what do you got here, little boy?" And like, did you know that the cheapest thing that the Boy Scouts sell is $15 popcorn?
That's funny.
Holy crap!
It better be good.
That's what we had to buy. We're like, okay, we'll take
how was it?
purple popcorn. We haven't popped it yet. It's like seeds.
I thought it was like popped corn in a tin.
No, because you know how much those were? $30.
Insane.
I'm like, what is this bullshit?
Here I
Girl
thought
Scouts,
$5
everything
for
is
a box
like
of cookies
$5.
was too
I
much.
know.
These boys.
Men.
Fucking
Seriously.
boys. We could never get away with $15 a box for a box of cookies.
It's bullshit. So anyway, this movie did make me want to eat popcorn really bad. It seemed like a good bowl that they were snacking on those kids before they almost got knifed to death. All right, it's time for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah.
Sweeties.
I had one, but it's gone. It's gone.
Just the music, maybe. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hold on, I wrote a... Damn it, where is it? Okay, got it. 1963, Haddonfield. It's a stormy night. Just kidding, it's not. I'm thinking of the wrong night. So, 1963, a girl and her boyfriend are like getting a little frisky. He leaves. She decides, great time to take off my shirt and brush my hair naked, and she, with the door open, and you just like see this person approaching her with like a knife that they got out of the kitchen. And then approaches her. She turns around, is like, Michael. And then stab. She gets stabbed. Little boy goes outside. We pan out to Michael, who looks like a very like innocent child. Like I don't think they did a great job of like portraying that he was like this terrible monster immediately.
Yeah, I feel like
they could have picked somebody a little spookier.
I agree. He should have had like a really creepy bowl cut, like really intense
and his
eyes.
face is like all fucked up at the end. So like why? Yeah. Like why? Like he's very normal here.
Well, I questioned that too, and Jimmy said he just got stabbed in the eye with a coat hanger, so that's why his eye was swollen? Question mark?
No, he had like a weird like ogre face. Like
that's what I
like
said. Jimmy said it was because of the I don't know, the coat hanger.
I don't know if I buy it.
No more wire hangers.
Anyway, so switch to 1978. We meet Laurie Strode, who is a, I don't know, 16, 17-year-old girl, high school girl, who it is Halloween night, and she has a hot date with babysitting. So, suburban little small town. Everybody knows one another. People are babysitting as like the thing to do.
Okay, what parents are getting babysitters on Halloween?
Like all night.
Because those parents were not going to a Halloween party. They weren't dressed up in costumes.
I don't know. Both
I think
of
that's
them.
rude.
Weird stuff. That's what I thought too. I was like, what were they doing?
No one took the little girl trick or treating.
Yeah, no one took them or the boy or Tommy. Like,
right?
What?
Well, he was at least dressed up, so I thought maybe he went before, and he had a sack of candy, so I was assuming he went before.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Good question. I mean, maybe their parents have to work. Maybe they are in the restaurant business.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
So, Laurie that night is babysitting for a boy named Tommy. Her friend Annie is babysitting for a girl named Lindsay. They're like 3 houses apart or across the street from one another, so you can see one house from the other. And then their other friend Linda is just planning to have sex with her boyfriend Bob and is gonna do it in the house that Annie is babysitting at, because like, cool, why not? Wow, man, these kids were rascals, like smoking marijuana in the car, having sex at their friend's house that they're babysitting. Which could you even fathom?
Kids were crazy. Yeah. I couldn't believe it that you would be pulling stuff like that when you're babysitting. Yeah. But you missed like the early scene with how this all starts, right?
Oh, I'm talking about how they're... What? I talked about him stabbing the girl, his sister.
No, but then the movie starts with the guy going up to the mental hospital.
Oh, I thought that was after this first scene. Okay. Oh. Sorry, everyone. So rewind a little bit. In 1978, the doctor, Dr. Loomis, is off to they're going to transfer Michael or something. So we're led to believe he's been in this mental institution for probably since he stabbed his sister, although I'm sure a different one from when he was little. So he arrives with like this weird nurse, and I don't like know what her deal is. And they get to the mental institution, and the patients are just like walking aimlessly around.
That was weird.
Very spooky.
I thought they didn't let the patients out.
Yeah, they fucking don't. Like, what? So he goes out to investigate. She gets stays in the car and gets manhandled by Michael Myers, who throws her out of the car and takes it. Somehow knows how to drive a car, even though he's been institutionalized since he was 6.
Such a plot hole.
And drives off. And Dr. Loomis is like, the evil is out. The evil is out again. And so that's the beginning scene, right? So we're kind of led to believe that, or we know that it's the same place where Laurie and her friends are, because her dad, believe it or not, is the real estate agent for the Myers house, which is this spooky boarded up house. And it has a legend, and Tommy, the kid that Laurie is babysitting, is some bad stuff happened there. Some kids told me the boogeyman lives there. Just all these town legends of things. In this case, true legend, very spooky. He did kill his sister. What the fuck? That's pretty fucked up. So, all right. So Halloween night, leading up to the night, Laurie keeps seeing this creepy person, tall guy wearing a white kind of weird mask, William Shatner, I guess. So my question is that mask William Shatner as James T. Kirk, or is it just his likeliness?
Well, in the costume department, they had 2 masks going. One was a clown one that they said was just too psychotic. It looked weird. And then they took this Captain Kirk mask, which I assuming is a likeness, does look like William Shatner, but they painted it white. They made the hair bigger, they kind of fiddled with it. Yeah.
I was I didn't know what kind of mask we're dealing with here. But yeah, he just kind of stalks around, and Michael's thing is just to stand at and stare at Laurie in a bush, and then she'll look and be whoa, and then she'll look again and he's gone. So
yeah.
I don't know how he moves so quickly, because this motherfucker does not run. So he can just seem to, unless they're not showing us, but when every time else in the movie, he's just slowly
He's a power
loping.
walker. I'd say he's a power walker at the most. His clip
I'd
is
say-
and he has a very big stride. So he does a
I
big,
wouldn't call it
big strides with
power
his
walking.
legs.
He's not using his arms, which is the creepy thing. He's just kind of loafing. Is that a word?
He's a loafer.
Loping? Is that a word? What's the word?
No,
I'm
I think
thinking of?
loaf. I think
don't
loaf
know.
is right.
Anyway, so all day she's getting kind of spooked by the presence of this weird person, but she's kind of she's a rational person, blah blah blah. So she's babysitting. Her friend Annie's babysitting. Linda's coming over to have sex with her boyfriend. That's the plan. So time to babysit. Meanwhile, Loomis has tracked Michael Myers back to Haddonville since he realizes he knows that's where he's going. The grave site of his sister was dug up, so the tombstone's gone. So that's why he knows that it's Michael. So they start watching the Myers house because he thinks Michael's going to go back there. So they're watching that all day. Nothing happens. And then
he did go back there and kill the dog though.
No, that was
Remember
the babysitter.
That
was the Lindsay's dog.
No,
thought it was
because
a
before
cat.
that the first time, it was some animal.
I think it was a cat.
And remember, because the cops it could still be a skunk that killed the animal.
No, I think it was a cat or something.
It's a cat. Yeah, it's someone's pet.
Oh, yeah, because he's there in the morning. Because when Laurie drops the keys
Yeah.
off, he sees her and is
Right.
oh,
And
there
Loomis
she is.
he got hungry, not to eat, but he needed to kill. Yeah,
He
needed to
stole
kill.
a jumpsuit from a gas station, but not a sandwich. Get it together, Michael.
No, it wasn't. He didn't eat him, but yeah. So yeah, he's been stalking Laurie all day, and she's now babysitting Tommy. Is Tommy the guy? Mm-hmm. The kid? Yeah. Babysitting Tommy, and Laurie's a good babysitter. Laurie is a smart girl.
Babysitter. Great babysitter.
She's really smart. She's a good babysitter. Yeah. Her friends all have boyfriends. They're very typical high school girls. A little bit crazy, as we said. This is the 70s, so they're smoking pot. They're bringing people over to their babysitter house to have sex in the parents' bed. It's a little wild for me, I'll say, but this is the 70s. But Laurie's is real straight edge. She doesn't seem to have any boyfriends. Her excuse is that everyone thinks I'm too smart, There's a scene where she's in school where she's like is distracted by Michael like totally creep skating out the window, but then can like answer the teacher's question in like a second.
In like a
I was
college,
like, what?
like a college level analysis. It's like what she says in like Freaky Friday when she like talks about Hamlet. I'm like, whoa, where's this coming from?
I was so impressed. So she shows up at Tommy's house with this pumpkin, and earlier, like Tommy had been talking about the boogeyman, and they weren't his friends at school, or they're just kids at school. Bullies, yeah. And he's carrying this big pumpkin, and they're like teasing him about it, and they push him, and he falls on the pumpkin, and it breaks. And honestly, it was like the saddest scene.
My heart,
other than the
just
dogs
like the
dying,
pumpkin.
and like,
Yeah,
oh my god,
it's sad.
so
and like
sad.
I kind of hate Tommy, so like I'm not
I know.
like. But that scene, I agree, was very sad. But then later you forget about it because you're like, why are you so fucking annoying?
So she's babysitting. Her friend's babysitting down the street, as we said, and her name is Annie. So she's babysitting the girl named Lindsay, as Sweetie said. So Annie, not into babysitting, not into this whole deal. She's making popcorn. She spills like the oil or the butter. What was on her? Butter. All over herself, and that means to her, I need to strip down in this kitchen and wash all my clothes. Like, who fucking cares?
Time has changed. I mean, things have changed. Now I'm like, I'll spill like a whole jar of spaghetti sauce on my shirt. I'm like, oh well, guess there's more in polka dots now. Like,
well, certainly if I was babysitting, I'd just be like, oh
Yeah,
well,
who
guess I have to
cares?
wear these
Well,
clothes
she-
for the
yeah.
rest of the 4 hours I'm here. Like, who cares? But she takes the brilliant idea to take like the dad's dry cleaning is on the back of the door in the kitchen. Strips down to her underwear, keeps on her like knee socks and clogs, and puts on the dad's like white button-down shirt. So then she goes and does laundry and gets locked into the laundry room.
What's up with this horrifying laundry room that's like in the garage outside? No, thank you. That sucks. And like they live in Illinois, so it's not like it's going to be nice all year round. Like you have to go out in the snow to get your laundry. Just seems like
also,
a bad
why is there
idea.
a lock on that door? Like, why is there
A lot of red
locked
flags.
laundry room?
Yeah.
So she gets locked in there by Michael Myers, though.
Oh yeah, he's around.
Yeah.
He's around stocking things.
Yeah, so he's stalking her now. And so she gets locked in there and is then like her boyfriend calls and
He's like, pick me up.
Pick me up. So she's like, okay, I'm going to go like pick him up. I'm going to dump Lindsay off with Laurie to go watch a movie with Tommy. And then I'm going to bring my boyfriend here and like we're going to have sex. Again, like these babysitters are fucking terrible.
Like,
I was a babysitter. I wouldn't dream of doing that stuff.
No.
It's so weird.
Especially if like the parents could come back at any time. How are you going to explain
like,
your friend having sex with her boyfriend in the house,
know.
or you having like it's
right.
bad idea.
And you never know. This is obviously like they're probably not going to call before they come home.
Yeah.
Like
This
they're
is
just
the
going to come
70s.
home. Yeah, this is the 70s, right? So she goes and gets her boyfriend. She goes, she had borrowed her mom's car, so it's in like the garage. And she goes in the car and sees like the windshield is all fogged up. And she's like, what the frick is this? And she like puts her finger on it. She's like, that's weird. All of a sudden, boom, someone is strangling her from the back seat. She doesn't even see him.
Scary.
Just is very like scary scene as she's in like we said, just in like a button down shirt, like no pants on, and she's just really struggling against this guy. Finally, he takes a knife and like stabs her in the side of the throat. You don't really like see it, and it's just like her face in the window being like
Sad.
and then she's a real dead. So bye bye Annie, victim number 1.
Bye. But yeah, Laurie at this point thinks she's off to pick up her boyfriend, so like she's not concerned at all. Linda and Bob show up, and nobody's at the house, and they're like, "That's pretty weird." So she calls Laurie and tells her that she went to go pick up her boyfriend Paul or something. But she's surprised he's not back yet. Which like sure, but Annie seems like a real firecracker. So like who knows like what the fuck she's up to. So they're not concerned.
And Tommy had seen though.
Okay.
Michael
Tommy had
Myers
seen-
carrying her body.
So yeah,
Like,
and
into
he's
the
like
house.
he keeps seeing Michael and being like the boogeyman, and then when Laurie comes to look, Michael has again somehow flitted away, even though he like stalks around very slowly. But that part cracked me up because it's like, Tommy, dude, like tell Laurie you didn't just see Michael Myers,
Yeah.
you saw Michael Myers carrying Annie. You saw the boogeyman carrying it. And granted, if he did tell her that level of detail, she would have just explained it away anyways, because she would have assumed it was Paul, or she would have thought it was Linda and Bob, because she knew they were there too. So I guess it doesn't matter, but I did find that, like, wow, yeah, that was pretty sketchy. So Linda and Bob are at the house. They have sex. Michael Myers is in this house with them. They don't know it. Michael kills Bob and then puts on his glasses and like a sheet and pretends to be Bob, and then kills Linda. And then as he's killing Linda, I guess she was on the phone to Laurie at the time, and then starts making these like choking, like gross kind of like noises. So Laurie thinks that she is like gross and having sex or something with Bob on the phone with her. So she's like, ew, Linda, gross. But Laurie like still kind of thinks like something's kind of weird. So she goes over to the house to like double check. And she finds some shocking things. She finds a tombstone.
All of her best friends
All of her best friends dead. A tombstone on a bed with her friend Annie, and it's like Judith Myers, which is confusing because her friend is not Judith Myers. So, you know, and I never understood that. I'm like, what is he trying to symbolize? That like, it didn't really make a lot of sense. And then Bob and Linda also dead. So she's freaking out. And then Michael comes out and they have a tussle. He stabs her like in the arm. She goes flying down the stairs. She has a few brushes with death. No big deal.
What the heck was that about? I completely forgot about that. And I mean, I've seen this movie like 5 times at least. And I was like, what the fuck? She survived that fall?
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like a limp
so she
for like 10 seconds.
She goes back to the house. There's like this really tense scene where she can't get in the house because Tommy had locked the door, and Michael's behind her. But of course, slowly loping. Or loafing.
Good thing. I like to not believe that, because it's like, she's like, Tommy. Okay, first of all, she's like, where are the keys? Where are the keys? And she's like putting her hands in her like way too tight pants. The keys are probably in there, let's be honest, and she couldn't find them because her pants were so tight. But she finally wakes up Tommy, who is sleeping with Lindsay upstairs in the bed, by throwing a flower pot at the window. Tommy like wakes up, tired little boy, like is able to come downstairs and like open the door in the time that it took like Michael Myers to walk across the lawn. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So they're all freaking out. Obviously, Tommy's like, I fucking told you I saw the boogeyman. You didn't listen to me.
Is it the Pokemon?
Yeah, somehow he gets in the house.
Because the window was open. For some reason, the window was open. I don't know. God. It's Halloween. Like, it's cold.
So, yeah, she shoves the kids in a room and, like, has them lock the door. And then Michael, like, goes after her. She hides in the closet. I don't know if she's, like, thinking...
No. So, first off, she's, like, in the room clutching her knitting needle.
Oh.
Jumps up and stabs him in the neck.
The swollen
That's the first time. No, the knitting needle is in the neck. So, he's down. And, we've talked about many times how horror movies have great female protagonists a lot of times. And Laurie is like sort of one, but I think she makes a lot of key mistakes. Okay. So first off is that she stabs him in the neck, the guy's down, and she stays in the room with the lights off and like has his knife, but like remains there. Like, what are you doing? You don't know if he's dead or not. She's like,
get out of there.
Breathing, like put on the lights and get the fuck out of there. You don't sit in the room with the person you may or may not be dead yet.
Good point.
You know?
Good point.
So he, that was just a flesh wound to him. Mm-hmm. He is up and at him and like ready to come get her. But she doesn't know that yet, because then she goes up to get the kids.
Yeah. Well, I thought... No,
because she tells the kids, I got him. He's dead.
No, but then, because then the last one is when the doctor shoots him. So I think the closet is before the kid. She tells the kids to leave.
No.
I just watched it.
I just saw it. No. I just watched it.
You watched it yesterday.
It's knitting. No, I watched it today. It's knitting needle. It's knitting needle. She goes up to the kids and is like comforting them. My babies. Comforts them. And then he comes up the stairs and tries to get, and like the kids run like into the bedroom or something like that. So
she tells him to lock the door.
Yeah, locks the door. And she goes in the closet, does the coat hanger, and then he drops a knife. She picks up the knife and gets him in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then she goes and tells the kid, then she tells the kids, go run and get the police. They leave. Then she really almost dies this next time. And then that's when the guy comes with the gun.
Bang, bang. See you later. Michael flies out the window, crashes down to the ground. Laurie's obviously traumatized. And she's like, it was the boogeyman. And the doctor's like, yes. Like, calm down. He's so dramatic about it. He's like, the stars. And there's like something he was like talking about walls or something. Or like Michael, I don't know. There's like some weird rant he went on about like walls.
He's special.
What is happening? But unfortunately, seconds later, Michael Myers' body is missing. So, dun, 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 music starts again.
And he got shot. Okay, so this is what happened to him. So he got a knitting needle in the neck.
Isn't that like the carotid
artery? Yeah. He got a wire hanger in the eye. He got stabbed a couple times by Laurie. I think maybe in the chest. Maybe they were just like, I don't know. She thought she got
stabbed anyone before. I don't know.
He woke up. Yeah. And then gets shot 4 times and then falls off a balcony.
4 times.
So
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's all what happened to him. Still able to get up like he never even existed. So, and as we said before, this is sort of like the crux of like all the movies is that like they think they've killed him and he just keeps coming back, right? So I don't know what the deal is with this guy. Can't be killed. Some sort of demon, like who knows? Clearly some definitely, troubled kid. I mean, kid killers, right? Like it's that thing. What's that movie I always bring up? There's something about Kevin or something.
Well, that was like a school shooting kind of thing,
right? But when you have kids are like who are evil like that, like where does it come from? Because I think
I mean, no one is like this evil that like this kind of just like unexplained, like 6 years old, like. Again, like I said, they didn't do a very good job of picking a kid who looked like an evil kid. So I'm not really buying it, I guess, from that perspective. But, the doctor has a line about how, like, he tried to work with him for, like, 10 years and find out what the problem was. And then he spent another 15 years, like, keeping him locked up because I realized he was, like, pure evil and nothing could save him. Which is, like, so pessimistic and, like, God... Sorry, Michael. Like we've given up hope with you.
Right.
No.
I mean, they say like even with like serial killers that usually it takes like some extreme amount of abuse for them to like end up being a sociopath
and we don't know
or like
the
a
story.
psycho.
I think they get. I mean, the Rob Zombie one definitely talked about that a lot and like did like over the top like. He was abused and he tortured animals, but I'm not sure if these ones get into his past. I'm sure they do, but not the ones that I had seen. But I mean, so like in the 70s, horror movies in the 60s and 70s were like pretty unfair to mental illness, I would say. It was definitely a time period where so much of it was unknown and a lot of it's still a mystery. And pretty much there was only like one kind of crazy, and it was this kind of crazy where somebody's just like this kind of babbling psychotic person, like wearing a hospital gown, meandering in the halls, or a psychotic serial killer like Michael Myers. Like there was no in between. And now there's so many layers of mental illness and what that is that like we know so much more. But like in this time, it was just used as this like evil entity for like scary movies. So there's a lot of horror movies in this time that are like that are like pretty unfair to people with mental illness, and they're just kind of equating all people, no matter what kind of mental illness you have, as a psychotic person. And so it's very interesting. And this certainly is the best example, I guess, of that. But things are obviously much better now. I do think they're still like a little over the top on the psychological element of Michael Myers. And that has always kind of bothered me. But other than that, I mean, it's a great movie. Yes, there's gratuitous nudity that like does not need to be here. But maybe that's also
what I want to talk about.
So like the beginning with the sister, I just don't get why she's brushing her hair. Why is she brushing her hair topless with the door open?
Well, she's just like feeling it. She's just feeling it after having some like sexy time with her boyfriend, I guess. But it did seem now when you see these, I mean, I guess you like, I guess Scream is to blame for this when they talk about sort of like those things that are typical horror movie like cliches, they talk about. So the thing with like, definitely I feel like gratuitous nudity is one of the things that is like up there in horror movies. And in this one just really stands out because it is all about these, it's 3 like main women, I'd say. Laurie, obviously you do not see any naked stuff with her, and we'll kind of go into that because she's a virgin. That's sort of another trope. And but you have the beginning scene where Michael's sister is brushing her hair topless, so she is, beautiful model body, and just gets like a knife like into this beautiful model body with these perky little boobs, and then you have the Annie, who strips down in the kitchen, and you don't see her boobs, but you see like her whole backside basically, and she's running around in like her underwear. And then you have the blonde friend with like the little pigtails, so she looks like a little girl, but she is like, you see like, I saw like a real erect nip, I want to say. I didn't see like any full boobs, but there was like an erect nipple, pretty like good sex scene. I mean, they're all covered up, but still like kind of hot and heavy sex
wow,
scene.
It's really a pornographic way to describe a hard nipple.
It's erect.
I wonder too. If it's just so like it's like all this stuff a sign at the time. Like the 60s and 70s were like putting out these kinds of, it was like porn and horror movies were kind of like in a similar camp. So maybe like I'm never unclear like how much the studios influence like how much boobs you're putting, like maybe John didn't want all those boobs and the studio was like more boobs. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe. And I thought also like when one of the scenes when Annie is getting undressed in the kitchen, like Michael Myers is like looking at her. So it seemed to be like a little bit more of that like sexual stalkery kind of a thing that he's like happening upon all of them in these sort of,
but then like not sexually really, because he's not doing anything. Though? We never see him like being like weird.
Right.
With it.
So, like,
and
jerking off in the corner like with his knife.
Clear.
But so that like really stands out and does seem like that horror cliche. The virgin defeats the killer sort of thing was also, I think, talked about in Scream, and then kind of persists in other movies as well. You had Laurie as we said, good in school. She's a very, conservative dresser. She's babysitting, seems like a really good girl. Doesn't have a boyfriend, isn't, dragging them, having guys show up and like having sex in the parents' bed kind of a thing. And so she's the one who survives at the end. So I guess John Carpenter was like, I didn't really see it that way. I saw it more like the other people were too distracted by sex to like be aware of Michael and in what was happening in that town and the stalking and all that stuff. Whereas like Laurie didn't have any distractions, so she was able to like stay alive.
That's the thing about sex, right? Is that like it's this terrible thing that gets you killed kind of. So it's like it all kind of is related. John, whatever.
Yeah. Very, very interesting, but I'm sure like those persist in horror movies still today. Probably a lot of titties. So we already talked about how the mask was a Captain Kirk mask. Let's talk about the crazy score and music. So I know that John Carpenter did all the music himself, and there's a good podcast about this.
Sound
I forget what it is now. Sound Exploder. Yep. And he talks about how he created this, the music for it, which is basically just like a keyboard kind of like thing going on, right? Seems kind of simple, but very, very effective. In the sense it really sets a creepy stage for like everything that's going on.
Which is like what this movie is all about. Is this like, I mean, everything's very simple. Like there's no special effects
Right.
or like, it's just a very straightforward stalker serial killer kind of movie.
Yeah, and again, like I like that there's not a lot of violence that happens. Like you don't really like see a lot. It's all like it's happening, but you don't see it. There really wasn't that much blood at all.
Yeah.
Now that I recall. So yeah, it just like I feel like his movies are more like creepy vibe-ish. You don't really like see a lot. It's not like gross. It's not your typical slasher, but it's just more like a real creepy vibe. And I dig it. I really do. So apparently there were 5 guys who played the different parts of Michael Myers, they are called the Shape. Did you know that?
Well,
Why
that's
is
what
that?
Michael Myers is sometimes referred to by the doctor.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
his
I was like,
nickname.
why is he called that? Okay, so the Shape. So they had the guy who did, in the mask doing like the creepy walking everywhere. They had the guy who was just like him without the mask on with like the weird like swollen face.
Yeah.
That was another actor. And then they had a stuntman, and then I forgot there was
One
like
guy
2
was
other ones. I don't know what
definitely
they
way
did.
Skinnier and like smaller
Yeah.
than the other ones. It was probably like a guy who they just had when like no one else was available. They're like, get Jim, and they would
Yeah.
just like throw him
Yeah.
in.
Who knows? And like one guy's the kid, like one was the kid actor. So kind of interesting. They use like all those guys, and I think they continued to be in it because I saw the most recent movie. I think it was like the same dude, at least the same like guy who does all the movements like in the mask and the outfit, not the stunt double, but like the filming one. So that's pretty cool. Also, so it seems like John Carpenter, if you're like in his life in some way, he may like put your name in a horror movie, which is so interesting to me. Like I couldn't believe like knowing him, and then you like go to see his movie and you're like, lead character Emily Dumas. I'd be like so freaked out.
Why? Who?
So Mike Myers was apparently his distributor of his previous film, the European distributor of his previous film, Mike Myers, shout out. And then Laurie Strode was his first girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
So be
kind
careful.
of fun.
Be
Yeah, I
careful.
wouldn't want to be named after the killer. I think that.
No.
I mean, that name is simple enough that like it's very common. Probably, as you know, there's a very famous actor named Mike Myers.
I know.
and so it's very. It's funny. But yeah, always funny. And there's a
Well, now
baseball
I hope-
pitcher too, right?
What? Okay. I hope if your last name is Myers, you do not decide to
your kid
name your child
Michael.
Michael.
Do your research.
I know. Do your research. It's like, do you live under a rock? Like, just don't be doing that stuff. It's nuts. Like, don't. I saw this. You watch that show, Happy Endings?
No, but I remember you used to. when we were
So
together.
Penny, one of the characters, ends up going on a date with this guy named, like, his last name is Hitler. And it's like such a big
change
deal.
it.
And yeah, I forgot like why he didn't want to change it, but what's his name? Adolf too? I forgot. But anyway, it was really funny. Okay. DoesTheDogDie.com. Bad news, guys. It does. Super sad.
No one seemed very concerned. The little girl didn't even seem concerned.
I
Obviously,
know.
Annie
Well,
hated it.
I know. They make the dog annoying. It was a German Shepherd, but it was just very sad to me when you like obviously it was protecting the family. It was doing its job, and the poor dude got stabbed. I just felt really bad for it. And again, they don't really show it. His bark just suddenly stops, and then you see him like being held up by Michael Myers, and it's just like it was just sad. It was sad to me.
Always sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
No good.
No good in the hood. And then, last trivia. I guess John Carpenter got the idea for this movie by actually visiting a psych ward and running into a child that had like really like nothing behind his eyes. Just seemed like very like stone cold killer. I don't think he was a killer, but he just like got this concept. And then when Loomis kind of does that speech about having like the evil behind his eyes, Mike Myers when he was a kid, I think that's like directly like what John Carpenter like saw in this psych patient. So I know, super sad. Super sad. But I think if you are scaredy cat of horror movies, John Carpenter might be the person for you. Definitely like give Halloween a chance. Give it a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. Like, what's kind of like your scary trigger? Like, are you afraid of being home alone and being like stalked by an unknown presence outside the window? Like, probably don't watch this movie then, because that's like all about that.
Like, if you're a current babysitter, do not watch this movie, because I was a hardcore babysitter in high school, and I'm glad I never saw this, because I would have been like shitting my pants.
It's like the concept of, and this was obviously true with Scream also, another way it kind of references Halloween. It's just like there's so many windows and like no shades, and the lights are on. So who knows who's looking at, and like you can't see anybody's face out there, so like who knows who's looking at you. But they do such a good job of bringing Michael's face like out of the shadows in this movie, where like he'll just be like darkness, and then like it comes out and you're like, oh, he's there, he's in the room. Like,
oh yeah,
it's so good.
That scene where Laurie finds, like we said, all her best friends dead. Kind of funny in some ways now, like, but I imagine like in the movies it would have been really effective. So sees a friend on the bed, the boyfriend of the friend comes like swinging down, like he has this big chest wound, and that's kind of funny because he's like on a swing. Looks like he's on a swing, like a trapeze, like going like this. And then she's like, huh, and then does like a back into a cabinet. Of course, the cabinet opens, and then her friend's like making this like grotesque face because she had been strangled. And then she's just like freaking out, like, oh, worst day of my life. Like, all my friends are dead. Ah. And then just his like his white face, like is kind of comes, you can see it from a distance, and then comes closer and closer and closer. And he's like, ah, super effective.
Okay.
Wait, also I just thought of another one. Oh, I imagine I can just imagine if you saw this in the movie theater, and the scene like where she thinks he's dead for the second time after she kills him in the closet, and he's like lying like like on a body like super stiff, and she's just again kind of like freaking out in the doorway being like, this day sucks, and he just like slowly gets up, and it's like super robotic, and I just can picture people in the audience be like, oh no, look behind you, that would have been so fun. I know, I wish I could like go into Doc Brown's time machine and be like, boop 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 doop, like 1978 October 31st, like let's go see this movie with my friends. Would have been fun.
Yeah, totally. On Halloween, even.
Anything can happen on Halloween.
Oh my God, best song ever. All right. Anything else you would like to add?
No, but happy Halloween to all you thills. Sweetie, what are you going to be for Halloween this year?
I'm going to be Poison Ivy.
Ooh, Sassoir.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, this should be fun. Got some contacts, green things. I thought there was a serial killer behind you, but it was just Jimmy. I got scared.
Nope, that's not Michael Myers. It's Jimmy Mulvihill. Very cool. Yes, I have 2 costumes going on. Me and Ronnie are going to be Wayne and Garth. One costume. We have a baby shower to go to on Sunday. And then our family costume is Little Red Riding Hood, Grandma, and the Big Bad Wolf.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Cute.
So, wait. Big Bad Wolf is 3 little pigs.
Yeah.
I guess it's
I think it's also a big bad wolf.
No?
In
Big and bad.
Riding.
Yeah. Well, he's big and he's bad, and
he should be
he's
big.
gonna be the
He
wolf.
eats the grandma and Little Red Riding Hood in some versions.
Sweetie Jimmy went to go look at wolf masks today at the Halloween store. Okay, there are several.
I know.
He took pictures.
He
took pictures. I'm glad we got to look at them all, because I vetoed one because it was just too werewolfy.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not a werewolf. It's a wolf. And then one came with gloves with fur on them. So I was like, get that one. But, kind of pricey for a one-time wolf getup. But I mean, he could be a werewolf next year.
Sure.
I mean, keep it, right?
Every year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Brownie's not too scared of her dad as a werewolf.
I know.
As a wolf.
I know. She's like never gonna go to him again. So it should be pretty fun. As we said, I said I'm excited about doing having trick or treaters this year. We had like 8 last year because of COVID, and I had just found out I was pregnant, so I was in kind of like a bad mood. I mean, I was happy about being pregnant, but I wasn't feeling that well. So Halloween last year was like a little bit dicey. So excited to celebrate in full force this year.
Yeah. Totes.
Yeah,
but thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed our spooky month of movies.
We'll be back onto the regular flicks come next week.
Yeah, sure. But for now, you can find us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club or on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye. Rape artist is definitely Michael Myers.